The Jets draft has officially ended, and man, I loved so much of it. But I'm going to talk about every single player that we drafted and giving them a letter grade for the draft pick. Let's start it off. I'm going to start with our second rounders going to the later rounders and then coming back to the first rounders. So, Breece Hall, running back out of Iowa State. We traded up 2 spots to leapfrog the Texans and go get him. And this surprised a lot of people, including myself a little bit right here, but I'm honestly going to give this draft pick I'm going to give it an A minus. I think I should have expected this because the Jets rely on a run first system. In San Francisco, so many running backs are in that team, and it's because running back is a position of wear and tear. Eventually, guys will get injured. Michael Carter missed a sizable amount of games last year. I think it was 4. And currently, we don't really have that power back. I think Breece Hall could be that guy that could really excel in these goal situations and really pound the rock in, but he could even be a 1A and 1B complement to Michael Carter. He has the ability to catch passes out of the backfield. He's kind of a patient runner at times. So if we utilize fullbacks or some tight ends, I think he'll do a great job at waiting for those blocks to kind of establish themselves and then run through the lane that they create. And I really like this. He is a smaller back, but he has that weight to him. I think he's 214 pounds, 5'11". And man, I love his size, and Iowa State's offense really ran through him. You think of Brock Purdy, I think of handoffs to Breece Hall. So he's a great running back, arguably the best in the draft by a lot of people, and to get him in the second round is pretty phenomenal, especially considering that the Jets wanted to trade up back into the first round and get him there. It's ridiculous we got him in the second round. I think that's pretty good value, and although maybe I would have gone with a Nakobe Dean, I actually really like the pick the more I think about it, because this is a run-first system. This just takes the pressure off of Zach Wilson's shoulders. We saw it during the Rex Ryan era, man. Running the football really works. I'm still a firm believer of running the football 60% of the time and throwing it 40% of the time. But Breece Hall, great running back. And yeah, I'm giving this an A minus. And in the third round, we got a Jets fan in Jeremy Ruckert. This is such an awesome Cinderella story just because his dad is a massive Jets fan. He grew up a Jets fan. There's a photo floating around on Twitter of him wearing, I believe it's a Jets helmet, so that's awesome in its own regards. But for Jeremy Ruckert as a player, he has the ability to be a top receiver eventually down the line. Now, luckily for him, he can sit behind Uzomah and Conklin. That's the thing. There is no need to rush Jeremy Ruckert into the starting role immediately as the primary tight end. But for Jeremy Ruckert, he was a 5-star coming out of high school, so he possesses that height. He's 6'5". He has the size. I believe he's 250 pounds too, so it's kind of that ideal size for a tight end. And while he's not a perfect tight end in the aspect of route running at this moment in time, he's really strong hands. He's good at catching those contested balls. I think of that pass from Justin Fields that he threw to him in that game against Clemson a few years back. And he can really go up. He has the height. He has the size to kind of box out linebackers that are mismatched against him. But I think Jeremy Ruckert is an excellent run blocker. I think this is exactly why we drafted him, because while we like to think that the offensive line does most of the blocking, in this kind of system and scheme, the tight ends do a lot of blocking too. He can kind of act as that sniffer or that guy that's wrapping and ending around and trying to chop that defensive end on the other side to create that hole paired with the tackle. So Jeremy Ruckert, great blocker. We might see him utilized at fullback a little bit, just something to keep an eye on. He might overtake Wesco at some point, but down the line, maybe in 2024 or 2023, when either Conklin or Uzomah is probably going to be off the roster, I think Jeremy Ruckert will have an explosion there and really come onto the scene. But right now, I think he will be used as a primary blocker. And I really like in that aspect because I think we really are going to try and pound the football and be a run-first team, and he's really going to help us get better at that because last year our tight ends could not block. Ryan Griffin just whiffed on so many chances, and on a lot of those third and short, fourth and short run play calls, a massive reason why they didn't work was either GVR getting beat or the tight ends not getting their block. So Jeremy Ruckert, he's going to make this blocking and running game a lot better. I'm going to give this pick a B+. I'm not giving it an A just because he's not going to be necessarily the biggest immediate help for the team, but this is pretty good value, and he's arguably the best, or he has the chance to be the best tight end in this class by a lot of people. So I can understand giving it an A, but I'm going to give it a B+ just because we already have 2 starting tight ends, so it wasn't necessarily the biggest need on the team by any chance, but he's definitely a great developmental prospect that can definitely provide some value as a blocker immediately to the Jets. Now, this pick was originally a shock to me, and it's Michael Clemons from Texas A&M. And there are a few interesting things about him. Number one, let's talk about it. The arrests and suspensions. I'm going to be honest, they don't necessarily concern me except for the possession of a gun. So if he had one illegally, that is a little bit concerning about his character, but I'm assuming that the coaching staff has cleared the air and understands the situation based on their interviews that they must have had with him before. I don't think we'd take a risk for potentially damaging this culture or reputation by drafting a player like him. But for him as a player, he's 25 years old. He's on the older side for sure. So that is something. But I'm pretty sure there was a stat on Twitter where he had a lot of pressures. I think he was fourth or something in his conference or division, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but he is a pretty good pass rusher, honestly. I think the reason why he fell was because of the potential character concerns, and maybe because A&M doesn't play necessarily the top tier echelon competition like SEC schools. But man, he's not a bad pass rusher at all. He's very good using his power moves. He's good at extending his arms and beating tackles that way, or kind of getting them off balance and then going to the quarterback. And he actually has a pretty high motor, according to the NFL scouting report thing that I'm kind of learning these players and what they're good at from. So that's really good to see. Now, there is one concern with him, and that is sometimes he misses a lot of tackles. And it's apparently because he plays a little bit stiff and too tall, but I think that could definitely be coached up. It's definitely one of the easier things for coaches to do is to really get players to tackle lower. I mean, I played high school football. It's a pretty common drill. I'm almost positive Coach Sala and Ulbrich can definitely work this out with Michael Clemons, but it's not a terrible pick. I think since Robert Sala and Ulbrich like to do the rotation a lot, 60% of snaps, and they keep rotating guys in and out, I think Clemons could definitely make an impact year one. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get 14 sacks. No, I think Jermaine Johnson has a way higher chance of doing that. But Michael Clemons, he's not bad as rotational in depth right now, and if the injury bug hits us again, I think it could actually be a pretty damn good draft pick. Come along then. I guess the thing that concerns me, though, is just the age 25, so he is on the older side for sure, but I mean, it's not like we're taking him in the second round or the first round, so it's not bad for the fourth rounder. I'm gonna give it a B value right here. B. I think it's just about an average pick. It's a good pick. It's not a great pick, but it's not a bad pick by any means, and it's not a horrendous pick. It's pretty good. If I can understand it and I can rationalize with it, but there are some concerns to why I can't necessarily put it higher, just because the potential risks that his character could bring to the Jets. And then to wrap it up towards the back end of the draft, the Jets drafted Max Mitchell, a tackle from Louisiana. And this is a pretty solid move because we did not take Eka Mekwonu or any other tackles before. Mekhi Becton is looking to be the starter, whether it's at left tackle or right tackle, and George Fant is looking to be the starter at left tackle right now. So Max Mitchell, right now, he provides great depth and great value, and in college, he has versatility. He played the left side and the right side, so I think this is an ideal pick in that regards, just in case Fant gets injured. Maybe Becton stays healthy all year, but it's Fant. Or maybe Becton gets hurt again and Fant stays healthy. Well, Max Mitchell can slide into the right side. And when I was reading some of the reports on him, apparently Max Mitchell is really good at using his hands, which is very, very good to see, especially from an offensive lineman, because when these linemen get into the league, the thing they struggle with is their hand placement and getting kind of beat or tooled by defensive ends because they understand how to use their hands against them for the advantage, but it seems like Max Mitchell knows how to do the opposite. And that's really all I know about him. I'm not going to lie, I'm not an expert on him, but he seems like a solid offensive lineman. We lost Cam Clark, so we have to add depth. And right now, Max Mitchell is exactly that depth. He's 6'6", I think 310 pounds or something. So he has the size to play the tackle position. There's no arm length concerns or any of that stuff. So I think he could potentially become a starter down the line. But as of right now, I think he's pretty damn good depth right now. So what am I going to grade this pick? I think I'm going to grade it a B+. I think he was the 10th ranked tackle on the NFL Combine draft page. So he's not bad at all. I like how he seems like a seasoned veteran using his hands to win in pass blocking situations. That's definitely something I want to see because Connor McDermott kind of struggled as our backup tackle last year because he wasn't the best in pass pro. So hopefully Max Mitchell, if something happens, he can slide right into the left or right side and be serviceable. And that's going to do it. I actually already made a video grading all of our first-round picks, Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson, so you could check it right here. The card will be up here that you could click on, or it'll be linked in the description. So watch that there if you want to see my grades for the first-round picks that the Jets drafted. So that's going to do it, though. Overall, for this entire draft, including the first-rounders, as a whole, I think the New York Jets get an A in the draft. I wouldn't give it an A+, but I'll give it a great A. I think we killed it in the first round. Sauce Gardner really improving the cornerback room. Garrett Wilson getting a wide receiver, potentially wide receiver 1 to help out Zach Wilson. Better option than trading for Deebo Samuel. Jermaine Johnson falling to 26. That is unbelievable value, arguably the best edge rusher in the nation last year. And in the second round, we get Breece Hall, arguably the best running back in the entire class by some people. So those 4 players are all arguably top players at their position. I mean, that's A plus right there. That is A plus stuff. But then we look at Jeremy Ruckert too. Potentially could be the best in his position too. Eventually, a few years down the line. Awesome. He's going to help in the running game. And then we got the later picks like Max Mitchell and the other guy from Texas A&M. I can't think of him right now, but overall, this draft class is an A. All these players can make impacts next year. I can definitely see scenarios where all of them are going to be contributors to this Jets team. So I love this draft, honestly. Even though we didn't necessarily have any 5th, 6th, or 7th round picks, I'm happy for what we did. I'm glad we got guys who will have an impact in this year 1. Now they'll definitely have an increased role even next year too. But as of right now, I can see a situation where they all help out this Jets team. I love it, man. I'm giving this an A. Joe Douglas killed this draft. I say it every year, and Jets fans say it every year. The Jets won the draft. This year, they legitimately did win the draft. In past years, they've had pretty good drafts, but they haven't necessarily won it or killed it. As of right now, they killed this draft based on the pre-draft consensus and based on their college film. Now we'll see what happens at the NFL level. Maybe things change, but right now it's an A. So let me know what you guys think. Jets fans, let me know what you think about the Jets draft. I'd love to hear all and anything, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.